Okay, Hatbro students. We have no cat in the video today, but we have a beagle who won't move.
Hello, Baxter.
He's planted there. So, anyway, I'm going to go over first the scales. This is not rocket science, unless you want to make it that way. But it's not rocket science, and it is extremely useful information. I want you to know what an E minor pentatonic scale is. Sounds really crazy, but you could call a broom a reciprocating mechanism for, and it would sound hairy, but it would just be a broom. And this is just notes that are sweet notes. They're notes that make it sound bluesy. And there are certain notes out of those 12 notes here, 11 notes in a repeat, that sound better than others. They sound a lot better than others. And they're the notes that you target. And you also target when you finish a phrase, since we're playing the key of E, of ending your phrases on an E note. We'll talk about that at the next class. But right now, let's look at this scale. You start off with a chromatic scale, which is on string 1, it's an E scale, an E chromatic scale, right down the fretboard from an E open to E fret 1. That's an F if you just follow along. And F sharp, G at fret 3. Notice that there's a dot on fret 3. And then G sharp, fret 4, A at fret 5, A sharp at fret 6, B at fret 7, C at fret 8, C sharp at fret 9, and a D at fret 10, D sharp at fret 11, and at fret 12, the repeat, it's another E. E open, E at fret 12. E open, E at fret 12. That's an octave. Now, that's chromatic scale. That's every note that there is, but you really don't have any focus points in a scale like that. You just have 11 equal notes, let's say. It's easier to organize around a few selected notes that seem to go very well with the E note. And they do go very well for physical reasons that we don't have to get into. You can tell on an oscilloscope why they go along with it well and why this works, but we don't have to do that. All you have to know is they sound good. You get used to playing those notes, and you can pretty soon start to make some much more interesting music that sounds like you're organizing tones into something meaningful. You next get down to the pentatonic scale. And by the way, you already mailed this out to you or emailed it out to you, but I'm going to email this again. It really only takes about 5 or 10 minutes, maybe a few times to let it sink in, but you should let it sink in, and you should know the notes on string 1, and you should know those notes on string 2. If you know the notes on string 3, you then have 3 of the 6 strings memorized, and that's a powerful thing. So you get down to the E pentatonic scale. The E pentatonic scale from all these notes, we're picking out the note E, naturally, since we're playing in the key of E. We have an E note, a G note, an A note, and you can look also at your diagram that I sent out, a B note, a D note, and an E note. And that is E, G, A, B, D, E. And if you look at that, you'll notice that there's a dot at the G, there's a dot at the A, there's a dot at the, excuse me, there's a dot at the B note, and there's a dot at the C sharp, and right next to it is the D, and then a double dot at the repeat. So it's where all the dots are, except for this 9th fret dot. It's not the 9th fret for the minor pentatonic. It's the 10th fret. So these are the notes that are the sweet notes for an E minor pentatonic scale, and they're the ones that you want to get used to moving between, and you want to get very familiar with that sound and get your fingers used to moving to those sounds while playing a steady beat. I then added in a Dorian scale, which I think is even more powerful than playing the minor pentatonic. It gives you a couple other notes, and it gives you some notes that you can bend that sound really nice. We're adding 2 notes into the E minor pentatonic scale right down here as I derived. The red notes are the pentatonic notes, and the 2 blue notes down here on this line, the 2 blue notes, blue colored notes are, I don't want to confuse that with what is called the blue note in this scale. The 2 colored notes are an F sharp and a C sharp, which is at this last dot. So you do actually have that last dot in navigating through this and helping you to navigate where you are. So the E Dorian scale is E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, and E. And that you want to get used to those. And, you know, I did that for Matt purposely. Matt or Larry or Mark or whatever his name is. You know, just to give another song, you know, call me. So there you are, Matt. That's call me if you ever want. That's right down the Dorian scale. And you'll just find so many songs that follow that Dorian scale. Not in order, that just lines up right there. It just goes right down the scale. So I want you to know where these spots are and to recognize that sound and how well it fits into this. You know, those types of sounds go together, and they're all the notes from the Dorian scale. And that's what we're concentrating on in this 3-week course, which, by the way, as I emphasize, I don't expect you to be able to play the blues after this. You're going to have to work on it after the class. I'm just giving you the ammunition. You've got to do the target practice at the range. Okay, that's picking the guitar up and playing it and doing and following this stuff. So I'm going to follow this up with a video of just the 2 basic approaches that you can take to playing this bass along with the notes of that Dorian scale. I'll see you at the next video.